Alright folks, in this video we're going to take a look at the One X Player X1 Pro with the HX370 CPU and the 890M GPU. This is a new product from One X, and it has the new CPU from AMD that's going to be used in the latest generation of handheld devices like GPD Wins, Ioneos, Legion Go's 2, and a bunch of other stuff. They're going to have the Z2 Extreme, which is pretty much the same chipset as this, just a little bit gimped off with the CPU side. So this is the full-on desktop version of that. Now to start with, we're just going to look at the aesthetics of the One X Player X1 Pro. It's not changed much from the One X Player X1 line. It's pretty much the same design. They've probably made some small adjustments, I guess, with regards to the controls, and other than that, everything else is the same. So just to give you an overview, so this is a 3-in-1 device, so it does 3 things, and it does all of those things pretty well. So starting with gaming, when you get this device, so this is it comes with a detachable keyboard, so you can remove that, and it has a Joy-Con style removable set of controllers. Those are removable as well. It also has a kickstand on the back, which is right here. It can be removed as well. So those are the pieces that it comes with. The tablet itself is around 800 grams. With the controllers, it comes to around 850 grams. Not too heavy, not very light, but very usable, because the screen is an LTTPS 1600p screen. It runs at 120 Hertz, which is really awesome. The colors really do pop with a little bit of adjustment on your AMD control panel. You can make it look really good. And it's a 10.95 inch screen. Now for some people that may be a bit too big for handhelds, but honestly, for PC gaming, anything below 8-inch is too less for me, so this is a good size. I have an 11-inch tablet as well, which I game on with Joy-Cons, but this one is much better because it's the weight distribution is much better, and I'm going to tell you why. So these two pieces don't have batteries in them. The tablet itself has a 65 watt-hour battery, which some might consider to be too low, but for a tablet, to make it comfortable to hold, 65 watt-hour is a good compromise, I would say, for the most part, because you don't want the tablet to be too heavy. And the HX370 is very efficient. The 890M can run at 12 watts. A lot of games at 30 FPS at 12 watts, which should give you around 3.5 to 4 hours. And you can also run games at 5 watts, if you have indie games. So the battery is not much of an issue. And going into the ergonomics, which I was talking about with regards to the controller, these don't come with batteries, so they're very light. And when you attach them to this device like so, it's a pretty tight fit. There you go. There's no wobble. You can't hold it with one hand, but there's no wobble, and it's very comfortable to hold. I've played for like 4.5, 5 hours with, of course, my arms rested on a table or with the kickstand on the back, so it makes it very comfortable. I use it this way. It's not much of an issue, and this kickstand really does balance it out. So you have support when you're on your couch or you're playing on your table. The kickstand can be used as support, so you can hold it pretty well. It's practically weightless when you have that back support. And because of the size, you can extend the kickstand bit outside. Because of the size, you're not really losing much. Anytime you want to go and browse, as I said, it's a 3-in-1. You can simply keep this on your keyboard, and you can, do productivity. So it's pretty cool that way, and very comfortable to hold ergonomically, very practical to use for light work, not very like heavy loads or stuff. But because the keyboard, it's good, something about the keys feels a bit off. Maybe I'm not used to this kind of a keyboard. The keys are too sensitive, I would say. Just a little bit of a tap and the screen goes on. So it's usable, it's fine, I don't have an issue with it. So for productivity, you can use it. For gaming, you can use it. The kickstand is very useful. This is one of the best kickstands on a tablet that I've seen. Even better than the ones that, you know, the was it the Surface Book? It had really shitty kickstand. I didn't like that at all. But this one is really good, especially if you're going to use it in handheld mode. And now when I say handheld, I don't mean you're going to lift this entire thing, you know. I mean, you can lift it if you work out. For me, it's not an issue. I do work out, so 850 grams is not much for me. But you know, keeping it slightly supported on the back, it's extremely comfortable. One of the most comfortable devices I've used in a couch setup, on a lap or a couch. So aesthetically, really good. I do want to talk a bit about these controllers. So it has your standard layout. Some people have an issue with the joystick. I don't. I guess the revised version of this, the sticks are decently tight. They're not extremely tight like something you'd see on, you know, the G1, the GameSir G1. But they're tight enough. They bounce back pretty good. So there's a good amount of bounce. It does use an, what do you call it? Mechanical keypad. So you may like it, may not like it, because these are mechanical buttons. They do make sounds. So there you go. You do have a certain amount of clickiness if you like that sort of thing. The triggers are analog. I mean, sorry, I think they're Hall based triggers. The sticks are also Hall based, I believe. So if you're into racing games, you can, you know, pretty much use this setup. I don't play racing games, so I can change the sensitivity in the One X Player app. The app is pretty self-explanatory. So if you look on the top, I should have gone over this before. You have a turbo button, which strangely isn't actually turbo. When you press this, it opens the One X Player console, which is like the Steam Deck style setup menu. It gives you options for your wattage, your CPU controls, display controls where you can change your resolution, etc., etc. This is a 1600p screen, so you're going to be gaming at 800p for the most part. 1280 by 800 should be your target resolution. So that's the button for that. It does have an Oculink port, which is very rare. For those of you who don't know what Oculink is, if you want to connect an external GPU and get the full bandwidth, or almost, let's not say full, but almost full bandwidth, and play on an external device, you can use the Oculink port. You get pretty good speed, much better than Thunderbolt. It has the volume buttons, it has your fingerprint and power button right here. On the side, you have two USB ports. Now, if you don't know, when you use these controllers, one of these ports gets blocked, so you can only use one. This is not really a big issue for me because I can use other controllers if I really wanted to. And I do have a slim cable which can sort of fit, and you know, you can use a hub or whatever. The placement is kind of strange. I'm not sure why they decided to put the USB 4 slots over there, but that's just what it is. You have your vent on there. You have another vent in the back. Now when you put this stand, for some reason, and this is really weird, this covers this part of the vent. It doesn't make much of a difference, but I'm not sure why they would design it that way. On the back you do have RGB lights which you can set up. You have RGB on this which you can also set up. It's okay, some people like it. It's not my thing. You have your pogo pin connector below, which is for the keypad. So those are the aesthetics, and I have no complaints with the setup. My device doesn't wobble. Some people's controllers do wobble. I guess they probably fix that in this version because I don't have that at all. My Joy-Cons or controller pads are pretty stiff, so I don't have much of an issue. The only problem I had was sometimes, or a lot of times, even if I turn off the RGB, for some reason the RGB, it keeps flickering on this. It's not a big issue. It happens sometimes. I'm not sure why. Maybe it needs a BIOS update or something like that, but for the most part it's okay. I didn't have any problems with that. CPU wise and the system wise, you know, this is 1 terabyte. It has 1 terabyte in it. Changing the SSD is a nightmare, so I would recommend you get the 2 terabyte if you want that. It does have an SD card slot right over here, which also gets blocked by this controller. So, I mean, I have no idea why they set it up that way, but you know, it is what it is. In case you are really frustrated about something like that, I would say just use a cheap BSP D10 controller. You can just, there you go, just use that. And if you just slide a little bit below, there you go. You get both your slots. You get your SD card slot right there. So everything is fine if you use the BSP controller. And it's a very good controller. I like the BSP controller. It's very, very comfy to use. When it comes to gaming, this is a very, very efficient chip, as you're going to see with a few games that I'm going to play. I'm just going to attach these controllers back in there. We're going to start with Kingdom Come Deliverance 2 because that's what's new and popular right now.
Don't make such a fuss about. Could something have happened at Presenters?
Alright, so I'm going to lower the volume a bit. So this is Kingdom Come Deliverance running at 12 watts. And it's running at 33 to 44 frames. It can go down to 29, but it's pretty amazing that this kind of game, which is a relatively heavy game, runs so efficiently and well on the 890M GPU. And I'm at 63% right now, but you should be able to get at least 2 hours and 40 minutes of gaming if you run this at 12 watts, which is pretty wild. The preset I'm running at is low at 800p, so let's go into the settings right here. 1280 by 800, quality is set to low, FSR on performance mode. There's no frame gen on this, so it gives you a very, very good stable frame rate, or relatively stable frame rate at 12 watts, which is very, very impressive. And this is something that you can probably use on your way to, you know, wherever, if you're on a flight or in the bus. And the charge is pretty fast as well. You get a 100-watt charger with this. So let's just equip the weapon. Try to show some combat here. Let's do a little bit of combat. Pretty sure that combat is way easier in Kingdom Come Deliverance 2 than in the first one. I don't know what they did, but it feels like they made it a little bit more arcadey. I guess that's a good thing. I was doing a test before, so it seemed hard at that time. Now it seems kind of easy because, you know, well, maybe I haven't fought high level enemies yet, but this is very impressive. At 12 watts, the 890M is just, you know, playing this game, which is pretty crazy. So you, even though this is a 65 watt hour battery, you can get 2.5 hours easy. And if you play at 9 watts at 25 FPS, you should get 3 hours and 20 minutes or so. So that's pretty impressive for this kind of a game. And this is Starfield, running at a mix of medium and low with frame gen, and this is running at 12 watts as well. So this is around 2 hours 40 minutes of gameplay if you want, but actually you can go a bit lower. You can actually go to around 11 watts, so it should give you 3 hours. You should get 3 hours of gameplay on Starfield, and it's running at 30 frames per second. You can see over there, it's 30 frames. The settings are a relative mix of low and medium with FSR and frame gen on. So if you want to play Starfield handheld mode until the Nintendo Switch comes out, this is the way to go. This is after the attack, so a little bit of a spoiler, but yeah. This is one of the more heavy scenes in New Jameson. This is right after the Terramorph attack. And I think we still have a few over here. I really like this game with mods. This is a clean playthrough, there's no mods. So, I don't think I have any bullets. The vibration is pretty strong. I like the vibration in this controller, but it's pretty strong. As you can see, it can sometimes drop to 28, 29, but for the most part it's very stable. Keep in mind this is running at 11 watts, and if you want to see the settings right here, at 800p resolution with so we have render scale down, so it's probably somewhere around like 364, 480p or something like that. Mediums, a mix of low, and we have FSR3 frame generation on. I can actually lower the graphics even beyond this, but there's really no need to, because you get pretty much a good 30 FPS with this setup. So very impressive. Starfield running at, you know, 11 watts. That's crazy. That's what the 890M is. So if you're upgrading to this, it's because you want more performance at low wattage. If you want to go 30 watts, you can. There is like a 15% boost, which is not much. So if you've seen videos of a 780M, something that gets 30 frames will probably get 39 to 40 frames. You know, you'll get 8 or 9 frames more. It depends game to game. So that's the gist of it. So let's look at something else now. So this is RPCS3. All right. So at 11 watts we only get around 22. So we should go to, let's say, about 15 watts. That should give us a nice 30 FPS. Yep, there we go. We're at 30. I forgot the controls. It still drops down to 22. That's because I think it's compiling shaders, as you can see over there. Every time you upgrade the drivers, it starts compiling shaders, but this should run at 13 watts for the most part. So you should get a good bit of time for time in battery backup mode. Okay. Let's go attack this guy. And we take out this guy, so it's dropping. It is playable, but for some reason the frame rate shows 25. It doesn't feel like 25, so let's just go to 19 watts. Well, so it's playable. It works fine, but I was playing at around 13 to 14 watts, and it does drop, but for the most part it's okay. The screen looks really nice. It's not an OLED screen, but this LTTPS screen, after you configure it a bit, it is quite impressive. This guy is... What am I doing wrong? Alright, there we go. So that's a little bit of Uncharted. Let's look at what's next. And this is a little bit of Astral Chain. Let's just do a new game. Oh, no, it's load. So we're running at 17 watts, and it's a stable 30, but I think we can go a bit lower, so let's try 11 watts. The intro does run well at 11 watts, so that's, again, 11 watts is around 3 hours of gameplay, or 2 hours 80 minutes of gameplay. But this is an exception because the intro runs better than the game. The game requires at least 16 watts to play. So this runs pretty well. Of course, Yuzu has been taken away from GitHub, so you're probably going to want to find a copy of that somewhere. and I'm pretty sure the Nintendo Switch 2 is going to upscale these games and make it look way better. So, you know, it's a give or take, you know, give and take, because you get a bigger screen with this. On the original Switch, you get the 7-inch screen, so it depends what you're looking for. You know, if you want to play the game this way, it's pretty fun too. So all in all, pretty good. So you have some emulation, some AAA games. These things work really well between 11 to 16, 17 watts. And on a 65 watt hour battery, that is very, very impressive. So at the close of this video, what I wanted to talk about is 1X Player is a boutique brand, kind of like INEO and GPD. When you buy something like this, if you're not buying it from Amazon, if you're buying it directly, and if you have issues, it's going to be a little bit tricky to get this thing repaired or get the batteries replaced, depending on where you live. So this is an expensive device, and you could get, you know, much cheaper devices, you know, for this kind of price. But those devices, like the mainstream ones, something like a Legion Go or the Acer Nitro and the Ally X, those devices are cool, but they are not as experimental or edgy. So as I said, this has an Oculink port, and you know, those devices don't have an Oculink. They'll never have an Oculink port for the most part. They might have a higher USB in the newer devices like Thunderbolt 5, which is going to probably be as good, but right now they don't. So if you want to be on the bleeding edge and you want something that's unique, of course you're going to have to pay a price for that, and you know, you're going to have issues with warranty and stuff. That happens. For me personally, I've had good experiences and bad experiences, so you know, it's a mixed bag. This one, it came perfect for me, so I don't have an issue. But that's the risk you take, you know. If you're an enthusiast and you like this kind of stuff, that's kind of a risk you take. But it's a very, very sleek package, you know. I really like this. One thing I didn't talk about is the it comes with the connector. So if you want to attach your controllers externally, since they don't have a battery, I don't want to break it, so you can simply attach them to, oops, I think it's wrong, there we go. You can simply use this. So I don't use it this way, I like using it in handheld mode, but this is really cool. It's very, very comfortable to use. These back buttons, they don't work in this mode for some reason. I think they're not programmable because these don't have a battery inside them. So maybe there's a way to assign them. I'm not sure. Not that I was able to do. So this is very, very cool. It also comes with the standard D-pad if you want that. I like this better personally. I like this kind of domey, kind of Saturn kind of style. So for me this is good, but it does come with this. That's, you know, an external option if you want it. Some other options that you have, so some people don't like this setup. They don't like that this stick is right below the controls. You know, they find it hard to move their thumbs. I don't have this issue. I think it's really good design for the tablet, because the way you hold it, you're never going to fully grip it. You're always going to have your hands like this halfway. So it's not much of an issue for me personally. But if that's an issue for you, the good thing about this setup is that you can use a number of external controllers. So the most popular one is, of course, the GPD-G Plus. This is the Bluetooth version. It fits fine on this. You can open stretch it from the back. If you twist it like that, you can open it further. The BSP-D10, it naturally fits on this, and personally I think this is the best one. It's much better than the G8 because it's lighter, and also when you use this controller, you get access to both of your slots, and your SD card is easier. So You know, of course you're going to use Bluetooth, and there's no delay or anything. There might be some, but nothing that I could notice. Oh, I think I clicked on something. Well, so for the most part, you know, this is a very, very flexible device. And the quirks with regard to the HX370, the base clock is only 2 gigahertz, which it's kind of weird that the base clock is 2 gigahertz, because that's like nothing. So you have to sometimes keep turbo on. That boosts your clock to around 5 gigahertz. I think the constant is around 3 gigahertz. So it's okay, but some games do bug out with boost, so you need to turn it off at times. The One X Player console is relatively simple and easy to use. It's kind of, I don't like the layout. It's kind of weird. I wish the layout was a bit cleaner, but it does the job. You know, you can pretty much control everything you need to, except frame rate. You have to go to advanced settings to cap your frame rate. It does come with the basic frame rate stuff, the layout with HW info. So all in all, it's a very good device. Now it's expensive. I think it's around $1,399 at sale, but it's always at sale. One bad thing is the cable that it comes with is only like, I think it's like a meter, or it's a very tiny cable for the power. So you need an external cable that you might need to buy. I'm not sure why. I think it's a crime that they give you such a tiny cable for power, but the good thing is it does come with a 100-watt charger. That's awesome. I don't think it needs 100 watts to charge, but it's great that they give you a 100-watt charger. I don't have any big complaints. The drivers are from AMD, so when I get my 1X GPU, it's not going to be much of an issue. Hopefully, I'm going to connect it and try it out. I don't use Oculink. I don't support Oculink because it's not plug and play. You know, I need plug and play all the time. If you have any questions, you can post them down in the comments section. And if you like the video, go ahead and like it. If you dislike it, go ahead and dislike it. But as always, thank you for watching.